Hello and welcome to Cinema Savvy for a brand new movie review. It is myself, George, and tonight I'm just joined by myself. Tate is meant to be with us, however, he's had severe internet issues. Of course, those that don't know, this is for the new Brad Pitt film Ad Astra. Tate's given me a list of some of his thoughts since the film, so I'm going to go over that with yourselves as well. But I just want to let you know this is this week's movie review. I'm running it solo. I'm not used to doing reviews solo. However, with our beloved StreamYard Renaissance, I've got a couple of things to advertise as usual. Obviously, we have facebook.com/cinemasavvy, Twitter @cinema_savvy, and on Instagram @cinema_savvy. These are the best social media places to find us on, so check us out there. But of course, tonight, this is the review for Ad Astra. Now, I don't know if I'm going to jump into this directly. I think I probably will. This is directed by James Gray, starring Brad Pitt as Major Roy McBride. Obviously, you're just going to say it's Brad Pitt for the entire film. It's that kind of star power. And the basic synopsis is it follows an astronaut who goes into space in search of his long-lost father, whose experiment threatens the solar system. That's a much better synopsis than the trailer. The trailer makes out with some kind of Independence Day that people are attacking the Earth. It's not that. I'm not going to go into spoilers, jumping in anything like that too soon, but the synopsis is a lot better than what you kind of think it would be. I'm going to go ahead and jump first into the cast. Obviously, I mentioned we've got Brad Pitt as Major Roy McBride. Tommy Lee Jones is playing his father, who's kind of a decorated, sort of one of the most famous astronauts of all time, that he was bigger than, why if I've forgotten the name of first man Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin. You know, in this fictional take on it, Tommy Lee Jones, he is that guy. He is the astronaut. He is the first man to visit XYZ planets, and he disappeared on duty when Brad Pitt was younger, and he doesn't think his father's alive. And the story is kind of the progression of him going on that journey to find him, to see, you know, is he alive? We don't know. Does it threaten the Earth? We don't know. We'll find out, and that's what this film is. It's a very interesting sci-fi, because I think I'm going to jump in first and say I haven't seen any of James Gray's other films, and this has not been stuck in development hell. This has been stuck in release date hell. This was filmed in 2017, and it was meant to come out in January of this year. They pushed it back to May. They pushed it back from May to September. I'm guessing they wanted some Oscar talk, Oscar hype, whatever you want to say. I think that's their main goal. That is why I think it's got the September release. Is it too soon? There's a lot of comparisons to First Man, and I have a vibe that that's exactly why. I shall get to that. I'm going to go into my honest thoughts. There's no this sort of new stuff we're doing short reviews. I frankly loved this film. I thought it was original to the point of original. You look at sort of some of the sort of space exploration films. I'm not going to jump in straight away, but it was 2001. It's nothing like that at all. But you've got that sort of lone traveler vibe in space that, you know, a bit like in Interstellar, like 2001. You've got this one independent character, and it's on his journey into, you know, he's on a mission. And when you say mission, it is obviously someone higher up telling him what to do, but obviously you've got the personal connections that come with that. Again, similar to a lot of these films, but it's nothing that I thought the trailer would advertise. There's no heavy action beat. There's no weird things like that. This is sort of old school sci-fi. This is, let's take a man, let's put him in a situation. And this is certainly not intended to be futuristic. It's not intended to be in the past. This is sort of very much today. Had space exploration probably been a thing for 20, 30 years, and that's a bit of a weird thing to say, but an example of this is that when he travels to the moon, it's not a spoiler, he travels a lot of planets. The whole point of this is that Earth is, that system is in place, that people do this, it's a regular basis. It's kind of, think of airplanes in the 20s, cruises in the 1910s, 1920s. This was what the sort of the rich of the rich went on. This was the stuff they could afford to. Not many people could afford to do it. So you've got a lot of scenes in these places where space travel, I don't want to say commercialized to the point of in your face like a Vegas type, but there's a theme of this is that, you know, space travel has been commercialized. There are colonies of people from Earth on some of these other planets, and it's very much a part of their life. And that was something which I really enjoyed, which was so unique to the point for this one, because with these sort of deep exploration sci-fi films, it's so easy to get it wrong. It's so easy to just copy another film or make it too earthy. Judging from the trailers, I thought this was pretty much all going to be set on Earth, a little bit of space traveling. This was not the point at all. You spend almost no time on Earth in this film, and I think that's a good thing. For me, going in quite clean, I'd seen the same trailer, albeit probably 24 times at some ridiculous screenings. It was shown at every film from sort of June onwards. I saw a trailer for Astra. I was looking forward to seeing it. I really want to see it. And that's what gripped me. I've always been a fan of sci-fi. I do like the sort of old school sci-fi as well as the sort of modern ones. And it's quite rare we do get stuff like these. It's going to get compared to First Man a lot. Personally, I don't think it is. One's a biopic of a real-life living astronaut. This is a fictional story about an astronaut. There are some similarities in regards to the design, the use of miniatures, the visuals. But to me, that's just good cinema. That's modern day, making the most of what equipment you have rather than going all out green screen into madness. I love that, and that's a really big thing. This was that the visuals were spot on, and what came with the visuals allowed those themes to proceed. When I mentioned the commerciality of space travel, it's not trying to rub it in your face. The character makes a comment or two saying, "Oh, he wouldn't have approved of this," but it's in the sense that the way it's stylized, it's completely believable that this would happen in the future. If our not world, but if we reached a point in 50 years where people could space travel, damn right you're going to see a subway on the moon. You're going to see like some kind of Apple store, like a delivery system. You would see something like that. That is quite common, and they've even got points where they're on the spacecraft and there's a woman coming down with like hot towels, that kind of end of flight thing. So it can be a little bit in your face like that, but I did quite enjoy that because it kind of allowed you to see the current sort of climate moving in with this futuristic sci-fi void, which I think was really interesting. And another thing which I'm comparing this a lot to, which actually I believe the director came out and compared it to, is Apocalypse Now. Now, obviously, the director, James Gray, is comparing it to the original book, Heart of Darkness, which is obviously what was the inspiration for Apocalypse Now. It was adapted from that. This is very, very similar. You have the lone individual. So in this case, it's Brad Pitt, and that it's Michael Sheen. Not Michael Sheen, that's the Welshman Martin Sheen. And his goal is to find this person that no one's been able to find, this sort of hero that's descended into the madness. And, obviously in Apocalypse Now, you've got Marlon Brando for that. In this, we have Tommy Lee Jones. Now, my only issue with this is that Tommy Lee Jones does not strike me as someone old enough to be Brad Pitt's dad. Yes, he looks older, but just it being completely conceivable and believable, it's a bit of a struggle. When you see some of it on screen, you can understand the relationship between them, but just getting to grips, and the problem with star power is that you just see Brad Pitt. You can't see his character, and Tommy Lee Jones, you can certainly see a character within him. He's far more believable as the astronaut. He's apologize, I missed there. I didn't mean to do that. But it's very believable, the glimpses of him you see in this film. And the Heart of Darkness comparison is something which echoes that. It's a really obvious trend, but taking that story and applying it to space travel is something else which it made it far more interesting. I mean, I'm going to talk about Interstellar very briefly. Obviously, it's a Christopher Nolan film. Everyone knows I'm a big Nolan fan, and it is one of my favorite sort of sci-fi, like hardcore sci-fi films of the last sort of 5-10 years. The character of Matthew McConaughey has a journey. He needs to get these other planets. There is obviously Matt Damon, a famous astronaut who bumps across, but ultimately it's all for his daughter, in the same sense this is all for his father. He's taken a career path because his father had that career. It's him trying to connect to him. So there are sort of lots of comparisons with other sci-fi films, other sort of films where it's about an independent character relating to family members. So you do see some sort of similarities within them, some story beats. However, there is some really random things. There is a lot more action in this than I thought. And I know that Tate's mentioned this as well. I'm not going to go into too much, but when you get to sort of modern day sort of stuff, you think, okay, the world's not perfect. On the moon, you've got like pirates. And obviously don't think of, Jack Sparrow in a ship. No, as in, like you see like modern day pirates, like Ross Kemp versus pirates in Africa, stuff like that you see on the TV shows. They've kind of got pirates on the moon, which is kind of absurd. And they've got really weird futuristic high-tech lasers. And it did take me out of the film. It was really cool seeing it, and the concept of the issues you have down on Earth being there in space. I liked that idea, but I don't think that came across too well. However, the visuals that came from it were exceptional. The sort of the sound design, the cinematography, again, the miniatures were a really big thing for me for this. I think when you compare it to sort of First Man to Interstellar, modern day, you know, again, it's so easy to jump to that CGI route, and there is some CGI in here, but you can also tell when there's miniatures, when there's practical effects, and this surprisingly does a good job of that with it being set in space. Now, going back to some of the other stuff, I'd have to talk about performances. I think Brad Pitt's great in this. It's not Oscar worthy. He's very, very good. However, if he's going to get his nomination this year, it is going to be for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as a supporting actor. The competition for best actor is too much, and I think he's great in this, but he's not very one note. There's a couple of tremendous scenes of him, but there's not enough for him to be sort of elevated to the, obviously, Joker's now, yeah, but what people are saying about Joaquin Phoenix, what we've seen from Leo in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's been some great performances this year. Obviously, we've got some more films coming out. Obviously, London Film Festival's coming up soon. We've got some ones being spoken about. Obviously, people talking about Christian Bale, talking about Rob Pattinson. It'll be very interesting to see who's nominated come January. However, I do not believe Brad Pitt will get nominated for Best Actor for this. I wouldn't say any of the other actors or actresses in this production would be nominated for anything either. Ruth Negga's in it. She's great. She's in very minimal scenes. Tommy Lee Jones is Tommy Lee Jones. He's good, but there's not enough for him to do. However, I certainly see this being nominated for Best Visual Effects, Sound Design, all those kind of technical ones. The cinematography is beautiful. There's some unreal shots. The best thing about space exploration films is that the cinematographers have literally a canvas to do what they want to do. They're in space. How do they want to shoot a scene? They can shoot it the way they want. I like it when films want to take risks like that. One of my favorites was the sort of moon landing sequence in First Man. You've got sort of vibes of that. Again, it comes down to using the miniatures, being able to get these modern day cameras on them with it. It just allows them to create something that's both believable but more just interesting, because it's not sitting there done that. You kind of have a bit more tension when you've got these models, because if something happens, then you can see something happen to a model. And that being said, I was hooked on the story, but it was quite predictable in that sense. I thought overall that I very much did enjoy this film. I'm going to read what Tate sent to me. So he liked the film. It's got a good score, good acting, and a setup. The only thing he disliked was the action. He says it completely removed him from the film. It didn't fit the theme or the focus, and he's bang on the point there. The action, it seems like they just wanted to do something which was cool, but it didn't need to be done in Astra. It felt like, well, we're doing all this. What can we do to add on a couple of minutes to the runtime? Not that it felt too long, but there were two action sequences in this film where you think, did these need to be in here? One of them's a great sequence, but a random sequence, predictable. The second one was really random. Like, this is just completely took me out of the film. This is 10 minutes that we didn't actually need. And then obviously just the story just carried on. And then it was just glanced past it later on. So soundtrack, I'm not glad I didn't notice it too well. I'd have to give it another listen. Obviously, space soundtracks, you get some very beautiful scores that do come with that. Again, it comes down to being in space. They can do what they want to do with music. There's nothing attracting to anything. I think Moon's a perfect example. One of the best sort of soundtracks I've ever listened to for a space film. But that's kind of everything I think I've got to say. I know this is quite short. This feels rushed. I saw this on Wednesday. I will say, if you are intending on watching this, it's made a 45 million opening weekend worldwide, which isn't incredible. It's not awful, but I think this has a budget of 100 million. So it'll be interesting to see if it can get that money back. Again, if their focus on this is to get it into Oscars, I can certainly see nominations. I don't know if there'll be many wins. I think on sort of technical awards, that's going to be their strongest points, because it is beautiful in that sense. But overall, that was my thoughts on Astra. I would recommend this. I did see this IMAX. Definitely check out the IMAX. The sound is incredible. Obviously, the visuals there as well. See it on the biggest screen you can. Again, that's the bonus of sci-fi films. But the sound design on this is... I'd be very shocked if this didn't win the Oscar next year for it. It's sort of, in some senses, beautiful. Vibes to The Last Jedi, when to get the Star Destroyer going through the show of the ship going through like the fleet. You have sort of moments like that where sort of silence is its most powerful tool, and when it chooses to bring sound into it, that's when it elevates that film to that next level. So I definitely recommend checking this out at the cinema. It's an original film. We don't get enough of them these days. We spoke a lot about how many sequels have dominated the box office this year and whatnot. Original films do need the backing, and this is certainly one where time has been taken to ensure this film is great. Having Brad Pitt in it, he also helped produce it, is definitely a good thing that helps. So the more original films we can get, obviously, when it's a genre like sci-fi, they come along these days once in a blue moon because of the budgets. But the more of these we can get, the better. And I'm not talking about sequels. I'm talking about exploration films of actually interesting themes that people will talk about in a couple of years to come. So were my thoughts on Ad Astra. Again, apologies if this sounds rushed. We're still getting used to the new system of the short reviews. It'd be easy to harp along for 20 minutes, but we're trying something new. I'm going to end with a bit more advertising. Tomorrow, I'll be back with the Cinema Savvy News. Tuesday, Tate and Chris will be back with Film Club. Wednesday, there is going to be a review of Rambo, which Chris has saw this weekend. So Chris will be able to talk about that. I'll join him with that. I've never seen a Rambo film, but I'll help him with that review. And there is actually going to be a review out for Peaky Blinders, season 5. We've never done TV much, but I'll be getting a review out for that hopefully over the next week. And we've got a lot more content coming your way, so join us, stick with us for that, and we should have a Battle of the Brackets next Saturday. We're just waiting confirmation on numbers. And again, if you want to follow us on social media, we've got facebook.com/cinemasavvy, Twitter @cinema_savvy, and Instagram @cinema_savvy. So we've each been sort of given like a social media platform. I'm looking after Twitter. Tate's got Instagram, Chris got Facebook. Obviously, some stuff we will just share with one another. But do follow us on there. And we will subscribe. Apologies, that's one we would have to say. Subscribe if you want to know more. Hit the bell if you want notifications when we go live. As I said, we've got more content coming back, doing stuff on a regular basis. We know we're trying to improve everything, so stick with us for that. And in the meantime, check out Ad Astra while you can. I definitely would recommend it. Speak to you later.